I think key thing about startup is also you need the passion. Like you really do feel that what you're doing makes a difference, not just to yourself but to other people. There's a greater purpose in what you're doing. If I had a chance to tell myself back then, is that don't go with the money. If you're passionate about what you're doing, you will do well, or you will find a way to do well.
Let's talk about your journey in Immortalize. What keeps you going, right? I mean, I know there's always challenges and hurdles to cross, right? And it's tiring. And how do you prevent burnout in a way?
So one thing that, if you're doing this for money, so that's something I always tell people, right? If you're doing for money, there's much better ways to make money. As in stable income. I mean, I wouldn't have left my Bloomberg job. I'm getting paid much more than I am right now. I mean, of course, I have the equity portion of startup, but in any case, if you're looking at money-wise, it's not going to be a motivating factor because you will always find that the grass is greener somewhere else. So right now, sitting at where I am, looking at my friends who are like, making a lot of money every month or stable income, there are great bonuses and everything. I will be like, oh, should I go back to the working world kind of situation? I think key thing about startup is also you need the passion. Like you really do feel that what you're doing makes a difference, not just to yourself but to other people. There's a greater purpose in what you're doing. And this is another cliche thing, but in the time where you get rejected, in the time where you face problem, this passion is going to be the fuel that keeps you going. Because if you're just looking at money, you're going to leave 100%. That kind of situation. And I mean, so I think at the very basic, the passion is, but with any realistic Singaporean as I am, of course, for me, it's an option in that sense. Yes. So during bad times, I have my passion to kind of fuel me. But of course, it's the bigger picture goal for a startup is that hopefully you become a huge, gigantic Amazon or a huge, gigantic, tech company eventually. That's kind of the reward that you get. It's going to be much bigger than if you do a stable job kind of situation. But of course, it's risk return, right? It's a much higher risk that you're taking, but the return is also much bigger in that sense. So that will be the two part in the sense that if you think about money, this is higher risk but higher return. But if you can't do solely on that. I mean, if you start off as this, that's kind of especially in Singapore right now, there's this whole startup craze. So that will be the part, but at the end of the day, the passion or finding meaning in what you do, that's going to be the most important, because when you face rejection and all this kind of thing, this is the fuel that keeps you going, not the money part. It's a good factor to think about, but it's not the money part.
Cool. That's super inspiring, seriously. I mean, a lot of young people, want to do stuff because they see the glance of it, they got like 100 million funding, or they get IPO, and whatever, right? Or SPC like merger deal or whatever, right? So I think this is a really good reminder, right? It's really the passion that kind of fuels, right? And kind of keeps you going. So if you have a chance, right, to tell yourself that is 10 years ago, right, the Regina Tan that is 10 years ago, right, what would that be?
Don't go with money. So to give you a bit of background, so basically I actually left Singapore to study in Australia, and when I went to Australia, the goal was to do astrophysics. So because I have always this fascination about space, even though I was a Singaporean, we are supposed to be very practical, very down to earth, very money minded, and all this kind of situation. But in any case, so that was was my goal, astrophysics. But then during my era, it was not about startups. It's not about tech and everything. It's more about you need to be in consulting, management consulting, or in investment banking. If not, your life is ruined kind of situation, where you hear your friends or everybody is talking about, getting a job in investment banking, getting a job in finance, getting a job in management consulting kind of situation. So I actually changed my degree eventually to quantitative finance, which is basically pricing of structured products in some sense, or options or things like that. So as finance as my major, but of course I was very specialist in derivatives and things like that. But in any case, and really the decision to that, while it was interesting, but a lot of the factor for it was to go with the money. Yeah, so that was one. If I had a chance to tell myself back then, is that don't go with the money, because if you really do enjoy what you do, I mean, looking back, like with an astrophysics degree and all this kind of stuff, I'm gonna go really high as well in today's society, tech society. So I mean, looking back, that's kind of like why, like even now, for example, we have some NUS student attached to us who came to us and say, hey, DevTech is really cool kind of situation. Can we get attached to you? So like I also tell them the same thing, like go with what you're really interested and what you want to do exciting, because if you're passionate about what you're doing, you will do well, or you will find a way to do well, and that usually will lead to money, or if not, a very satisfied life kind of way. Either way, you're gonna be very happy. So in that sense, so that would be the advice I give myself. Don't go with the money, because you may, well, the upside is that you got money, but you have a lot more other downsides potentially, because you're going for the money but you're not happy. You're going for the money, you tire yourself out kind of situation. So yeah, go with what you're interested, and you never know what will happen. Yeah.
Thanks, Regina. Thank you for sharing. That's very insightful. That's super inspiring as well. Could you share with us what's next for Immortalize? What are the plans ahead for the next 6 months or the next 1 year?
So in any case, what we are doing right now, so like for us, the roadmap wise, right now we are doing a lot more onboarding providers on the platform. Okay, because at the end of the day, for a marketplace, it's chicken and egg. Do you go with users first or do you go with providers first kind of situation? You cannot. So for us, we started off with kind of like providers, because without providers, there's no users per se. So in any case, so the focus right now is still on providers. Basically, we want to create, so right now, if you see on our platform, it's very biased towards law firms. At the end of the day, Last Mile Life is not just about law firms. So we are actually slowly including, for example, even financial consultants. Can you actually compare financial consultants? We want to rate financial consultants, because at the end of the day, when you do life insurance or business continuation, it's very hard to buy online because there's a personal factor. You need someone to kind of evaluate your personal risk. So that's the key thing. So, so we want to allow people, for example, to actually compare financial consultants, financial advisors. We just onboarded our first funeral director. I mean, it's not really big yet. So we are actually in the midst of changing the platform such that it's a lot more user-friendly. So we started with law firms, but that structure is not going to work for other industries. So at the end of the day, for us, is we want the users to come in, okay? If you know what you're looking for, you can do a quick search. It's going to be really easy for you to search. And if you don't know what you're looking for, there's actually a Roboadvisor in some sense. So usually people associate Roboadvisor with finance, but essentially what Roboadvisor is to automate the functions of an advisor using codes and machines and everything. So the NUS team that's attached to us are actually working on the Roboadvisor project. So basically, when you come in, you give me some information on yourself. For example, do you have kids? Do you have assets in different countries? Blah, blah, blah. Where are you based? Because, for example, LPA only applies in Singapore. It doesn't apply in a lot of other countries. In any case, so once you give me some information, I will tell you what are the products that you need or services that you need, and then who is the relevant provider for you. So that's kind of what we are creating right now, so that because we realize that most people will not know where to start anyway. So if that's the case, assume you're talking to an advisor. Okay, but it's a Robo-advisor. Just give me some information, straight away I can tell you. But if in any case, if you ever need, there's always a human you can talk to kind of tell you what you need or who you should be going to, who's most appropriate for you. Because, for example, if you have like Singapore, Australia assets, not all law firms can do Singapore, Australia. Do they have partners who can do Australia? Can they do Australia? Kind of situation. So that's kind of the next 6 months to 6 months around there. That's what we're working on to make the user experience. So we have slowly gone past the first stage in terms of provider. We are already starting to attract providers. Right now, can we improve the user experience? Because we did our first 3 to 4 months of launch, we did a lot of soft testing and user surveys. And of course we realized a lot of problems that I just mentioned to you. And that's what we're trying to solve now, to make it a lot easier. The moment you come in, you know exactly where you belong. So that's what we will be doing for the next 6 months, I guess.
Cool. Wow. It sounds super exciting, right? It sounds like it's an AI for last mile of life planning, isn't it?
Well, yeah, people always use AI, okay, so it depends. There's a whole range of AI. So at the very basic of AI, it's just automating tasks. So I think we are at this area, meaning there's no feedback loop per se to make this AI smarter. in that sense. So we're doing the tough part of AI is basically, for example, your autonomous driving and everything, right? Where there's a feedback loop, they keep learning themselves and everything. But for this case, we don't have a need for now because the outcome is pretty standard. There is only that few defined outcomes, so we don't need the feedback loop and all this stuff. Maybe we need it in future, I'm not too sure, but as we do that, so in the next 6 months, we will be trying to improve the user experience. That's one thing. And the other part, for example, is that we're actually allowing people to track the progress of things. But anyway, that will be a longer term thing where essentially what we want to do, the eventual goal is that you come in, not only can you manage and do everything you want, fine, but the execution part. So for example, when an executive comes in, through SingPass or whatever thing that's happening, straight away they can know what exactly is the whole probate process, funeral process, claiming our insurance process, everything. You can track and manage it on our platform. So that will be a bigger picture goal. But in any case, so back to the AI part, maybe that part, there are certain part where the more sophisticated end of the AI will come in, but right now we are at the very basic end, and that's what we think we need for now. And I mean, for every startup, you don't go in trying to build something very complicated first. You start from simple and then you evolve along the way. I think that's more sustainable long term than trying to come in and do something really complicated and then it doesn't work.
Yeah, sounds good. It sounds like an MVP. It sounds like something that's iterative, right? That
Yes.
you're kind of rolling that out to
Yeah.
test on the market and to invest more effort into that, right? To grow that even further, right? To really add value to your clients and the consumers out there, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So for our listeners out there, right, who are keen to connect with you, maybe want to be part of, Immortalize, how do they connect with you?
My email is regina.tan@immortalize.io. I have no issues with saying that. But in any case, for Immortalize wise, if you go to our website, there is this blue chat box, and people always say, "Oh, I don't want to talk to robots." Actually, it's humans placed there. So I mean, if we are not available, if you try to message us at 3 a.m. at night, of course we are not going to be available because it's all live chat. We do not. We automate things as much, but we know that this topic you can't do a robot like. It doesn't work. So humans is there to talk to you. Or if not, you can actually go to Immortalize Marketplace. You can book an appointment with us. So just like we want you to book an appointment with all the providers, you can book a customer service call with us. And we basically ask you some questions about, just like the Roboadvisor, but it's just a human advisor, ask you some questions about yourself that we need to basically figure out what products you need. What do you lack in the whole last mile of life kind of chain? Because there's a lot of things that's happening. And then who is the right one for you? So I guess that's the way to contact me/Immortalize. Either way, it's fine.
Nice. That's very personal, right? And personal chat rather than a chatbot, isn't it?
Yeah, because So that's why people go to for example, insurance agents and everything. A lot of times it's because of the human touch. You just want someone to handhold you, and we have no issues with that. As in, So, but we're creating the Roboadvisor to make the whole process, because we also know some people don't want to talk to people, kind of situation. That's why we have the Roboadvisors to kind of
Makes sense.
do the first take of people, and then when you really still cannot get it, come to us. Just chat with us. We will figure everything out for you.
Makes sense. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so those who want to connect with Regina can reach out, or Immortalize can reach out to you, and also the website as well.